So, Danae, on page 19 of chapter 3, Carter G. Wilson has a quote that says, "In medical schools, Negroes were likewise convinced of their inferiority of being reminded of their role as germ carriers." How do you feel about the term germ carriers? Like, do you think today African Americans are viewed as germ carriers?
The germs from the beginning. So for y'all to turn it around and switch it to make it seem like we're the ones that gave Caucasian the germs is kind of like another way of downgrading African Americans. That was just another way of them doing that, because when you think about it, back in the days when the Europeans came over to us, they carried all these germs that our bodies were not immune to. So we was catching things and dying off, and then they switched it around and make it seem like we're the ones that just carried all the germs, and we didn't. So when you think about it, germ carriers, like, we're all germ carriers, like African Americans and Caucasians. We get the same diseases from one another that all of us can catch. So I don't think they should. If they're gonna use the word germ carrier, they should use it for them too, and not just us.
Yes. Thank you. So chapter 3 is titled "How We Drifted Away from the Truth." And basically what Woodson argues in this chapter is that whether in science, history, or literature, whites have been taught that their cultural contributions to the American society were superior to those of the blacks. This type of teaching, he believes, has built in whites a race hate of the Negro and the Negro's contempt for themselves. So a quote on page 19, second paragraph states, "You might study the history as it was offered in our system from the elementary school throughout the university, and you would never hear Africa mentioned except in the negative. You would never thereby learn that Africans first domesticated the sheep, goat, and cow, developed the idea of trial by jury, produced the first string instruments, and gave the world its greatest boom in the discovery of iron." So after I read that quote, I kind of felt like what Woodson was saying was Africa was only viewed as a negative place, where slavery originated from, about how we're germ carriers and we just have all these diseases. But no, we're actually known for positive things, as he listed. So it's just like, again, how people think that Africans are viewed as just negative things in society, and how we're looked down upon, and how we're still very inferior to whites.
When he was talking about economics, it falls back basically to school and us not being able to own anything. Because if we don't go through school and get the proper education, financial, and if we don't have the proper education, that basically puts us like an economic and financial setback.
They know what they're doing.
Us not being able to own our own businesses,
but we
run
do,
our own
we do
stuff.
own our own business.
It's not the fact that we can own our business. It's the fact that we're not educating ourselves well enough to actually successfully run the business. We can't hit a hard financial, you know what I'm saying, point in our business, because we're not saving money. We're not putting money to the side for a rainy day. We're not. Of course, I can't say that we, as in everybody, because some people are, of course, and there are successful black businesses.
Are very successful.
Of course, but at the same time, a great number of them aren't. Or a great number of them aren't, you know what I'm saying, planning for a rainy day. They aren't planning for the future.
And then in chapter 4, he was kind of talking about if you are successful, Carter G. Wilson was kind of talking about if you are a successful African American, you can't keep yourself in the same environment where you came from.
I agree with that.
Yes, that's what you back. So it's like you can't have the same friends that are doing the same thing. Like, once we all go to college, go to education, we can't go back to doing the same thing.
He didn't know. He don't discredit, because he did say that.
I did say that. But my part of it, I just feel like you don't have to go back and be in that same mindset. But what you could do is go back and educate. You have your own. You have your education. You have your mindset. You could go back and help them
understand or think a different way that you're thinking.
If they, with all that money they are getting, that's why they're saying we're miseducated, because we have enough money. We're trillions of dollars, of the amount of money spent in America at the end of the year. $14 trillion, I think all, African Americans spend, you know what I mean? And when that $14 trillion, we can control everybody's economy. You feel me? Like, we control if Maserati make money, we control if Cadillac make money. You know what I mean? If we was to all come together and pick and choose what we're gonna spend our money on, where we're gonna direct things, especially with the athletes and all that, if we wouldn't be in this rut, we wouldn't have as much poverty, in our own communities.
Chapter 5, the failure to learn to make a living. A couple of things stood out to me in this chapter, but I'm just going to go through 3 that really stood out to me. And the first one is, the Negroes of today are unable to employ one another, and the whites are inclined to call on Negroes only when workers of their own race have been taken care of. Other races are helping their own, and they call up on us only when their race is taken care of. And we ourselves as people can't even, help the next brother out. We always want to make sure we're on top, doing the best. And when we're at the top, doing the best, we don't even want to, extend that extra hand to help the next. And this is in our own race.
He says, in 1880, when Negroes had begun to make themselves felt in teaching, the attitude of leaders was different from what is today. At that time, men went off to school to prepare themselves for the uplift of a downtrodden people. In our time, too many Negroes go to school to memorize certain facts, to pass examinations for jobs. The masses, or people, show almost as backwardness as they did in 1880. Now, Woodson composed this book in 1933, and here it is, umpteenth years later, and we still are kind of at this same place. People are still just memorizing facts. Yeah, I know a lot of my peers and my classmates, I see them, and they're just like, okay, yeah, I just want to get this down to make sure I pass the test. We aren't really making ourselves competent. We are not allowing ourselves to really absorb the knowledge and the know-how of what to do and how to do it to really sustain our living.